Bicara Supply Chain, highlighting and showcasing solutions for the most complex challenges facing the industry in 21st century by our team of subject matter experts and mentors. Broadcasting every week, all year round, we will present the most up-to-date series of podcasts and webinars.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bicara Supply Chain. This is Nur Hadi, your host, and I am speaking now with Federico Fioretto. He is a founder and CEO at Exsulting, a business advisory and consulting company focused on the sustainability, and he is based in Italy. Our discussion will be focused on how to bring the sustainability in the business world, and then also talks a bit more on the SI or Sustainability Index. Welcome to our show, Federico. Can you please tell us a bit about your experience and what do you do at Exsulting?
Currently, I'm mostly, apart from being an international speaker, that I tend to limit a little bit because also of sustainability issues, because traveling is not very sustainable nowadays. But as for the rest, I'm the CEO of this startup, which is Exsulting. And it's a company born out of a passion-based project, actually. Started more or less 3 and something years ago with a Dutch colleague originally, and then dropped out because he wasn't very much the entrepreneur kind of person. It was more like a scientist or researcher, but he didn't want to engage into a business. But we were trying to find out ways to assess how effectively a company is using sustainability as a tool for securing its resilience and profitability in the mid and long term. Therefore, we started researching how we could do that. And so issues started to pile up. And we had more and more a structure around something, but originally it was still a kind of a survey. At a certain point, I saw that we could draw some indexes from our survey structure. At that point, I decided to make it into a business because I saw the huge potential into this stuff. And so I invested in this startup, which is, we call it in Italy an innovative startup. So you have to have some characteristics, and then you are somehow facilitated into starting your business. And I hired people who were more mathematical in their minds. So I gave them the idea of how I wanted the algorithms to work in order to pull out information from data from our survey, and they developed the formulas. Originally, the indexes were more than one, that drawn from the interrelation between the factors of our survey. But in the end, we found an excellent formula for getting just one single number, which is what we call the Embedded Sustainability Index, which is our registered trademark. And this index basically tells how effectively the company is using sustainability to manage its uncertainty, which is another way to describe the fact that the company is resilient and will be profitable in the future and for the long term, while generating more social value for people, and a better environmental stewardship. So the idea is to overcome the widespread idea that sustainability is something of an evolution of CSR. An evolution of being good to people, in being good to people and the environment too, which generally is a way to spend more running your business because you want to look good or to do good deeds that cost more. Whereas the idea behind embedded sustainability is that by taking into consideration the environment and the community of your stakeholders, you develop a more clever, effective way to run your business, which implies sometimes to innovate radically the business model, to innovate the processes, to innovate the design of your products or services. So it can be a bit of an upheaval of a company's processes, but it is what makes it profitable.
Yeah.
So what I'm generally saying to people is embedded sustainability has the very nice, peculiar trait of paying for itself and even giving more, which is very different from the old-fashioned but still very much alive approach of CSR.
Yeah.
We have to spend something more in the hope that our customers will be also willing to pay more for our products, which is not the case. Data say that people, maybe they say, I'm willing to buy a more expensive item if it's made in a more ethical way. But in the end, at the time of purchase, a very low number actually does that.
Yeah.
Whereas there are companies that have achieved astounding results by innovating the business models profoundly.
Yeah.
So this is what we test with our platform, and of course, what we have is a free online self-assessment.
Yeah.
That's available for everybody at our website, just by registering on the web. And after registering, the company can take as many self-assessments as they want.
Yeah.
There's no limits so far. But that, of course, is an entry level. And when we proceed into our funnel, so to say, then we draw what we call the preliminary report, and that's our reading of the self-assessment and of the publicly available information on the company.
Yeah.
And then the land. So we know how to read the assessment from behind, because we know how the algorithms work.
Yeah.
And we release this executive report, which is already a very effective insight of the company, with some suggestions of critical areas, points of strength, priorities. So it's already we have seen that's already very, very effective in showing the company where to go. And then we proceed, of course, with our ISO-based assessment procedure. That's a proprietary procedure that we have developed.
Yeah.
So we certify the index at the further step. So we sign it, and we give 18 months of license of use of our logo and the logo of the index. And it's official, and it's beginning to be considered also by investors and insurance companies as an indicator of how the investment is good, because the company is likely to last in the long term. So that's our final goal, to become a reliable and recognized benchmark.
I'd like to jump into another questions. What would be the best approach that we could take as considerations when a company would like to convert this sustainability as part of their business?
Our approach to sustainability, which is the embedded sustainability, something that is strategic and integrated throughout all the processes of a company, including the setting of strategy, setting of the mission, and decision-making processes, which is very important. And it takes also into consideration the leadership model, because talking about supply chain, that I know is the issue that's dear to your heart, embedding sustainability into the company's strategy implies changing the mindset into the relationship with the supply chain, because it tends to foster a more partnership-oriented model, because it entails a lot of innovation in design, in the way products are made. That's something that, if you don't have a very vertically integrated company, you need to discuss this radical and profound innovation with your suppliers. You also have to discuss it with your customers. You have to make partnerships that help you innovate all along the value chain, whereas a company that does it alone, dealing with the supply chain in a more traditional way, based in product and price, it's much more difficult to achieve this kind of innovation. So we have also examples of this, and there are also international institutions that are doing very interesting things on this side. For instance, UNIDO, which is the UN body for circulation of innovation and technological development ideas, is doing very interesting projects for helping companies develop partnerships along the value chain. That means also along the supply chain, of course, to improve the business models, to improve the way resources are used, to improve the circularity in the use of resources. Therefore, it's an approach that is really paying off very well. But still few companies adopt it, too few. And I don't say this for my company, I say this for the planet, for humanity, because it's very effective. And it's effective, it's profitable, but it takes a different leadership model, a different way of dealing with contracts, relationships, interactions. So there's a lot to do in this direction.
Fantastic. So we're talking about the leadership on sustainability, and you probably know that each company, its regions where they're living on has their own characteristic. My culture, your culture are different, and it's make influence our leadership style. So what is your view on this?
We have to take into account the profound cultural differences that we have all around the planet. What I know, for instance, about Chinese culture, I know this through interaction with healthcare professionals that I had in another part of my life. It's a culture that gives more value to the collective than to the individual, for instance. Whereas Western culture, Europe and the US, tends to give a lot of value to the individual rather than to the collective. And this makes for a very different mind frame when you consider cultural issues. And cultural issues are the basis of our legal systems, of our economic systems, etc. So I think we have to consider that we have differences. But this may have a stronger influence on the old approach of CSR, because it's more about social goodness in a way. Pass me the term, which is a bit simplistic, but whereas the embedded sustainability approach that we are bringing forward, not just us, but I mean this is what we do, is more practical, pragmatic, and it's more about how the business works and how it can last longer. Therefore, for instance, we take into consideration the environmental stewardship, but not just because we love the beauty of butterflies or we are romantic, but because we know that the butterflies ultimately are necessary for our business to last. Because we live by the ecosystem. We need resources, we need energy, we need healthy people to work for us, we need happy people to work with us because they are more productive, they are more keen to share their intelligence. Our healthcare systems are very costly, but if we live in a healthier environment, we spend less on our healthcare systems. Therefore, we can lower our taxes. So this is a way that looks at the system in a systemic way. And it's becoming aware that the company and the business does not live in a glass ball. It is profoundly interdependent with the context. And today we cannot ignore the context anymore. So maybe for some time, some companies will be able to last the old way. So grab, make, and waste, or however you want to synthesize it. But I think that we are so interconnected and interdependent that by considering sustainability in this way, which is very pragmatic, for instance, among my articles in my blog, there is one that I've written about companies that practice sustainability and don't tell it. They don't make it for their PR or for their image or for their marketing. They do it because it's good for their business. So this is how I would like everyone to do. I do it because it's good for me. Because the good of everyone in my value chain, let's not talk about humanity or the planet, but talk about my value chain, my suppliers, my customers, my people, my workers, my shareholders. It's good for them. It's good for us. So at this point, you don't need to have a cultural background that kind of obliges you to behave in a certain way in order to preserve your license to operate. It's just because it's best. I find it more practical and easier also to discuss with business people. Because we are talking about the bottom line. From this, some goodness is always welcome. It makes things easier in life, I think. But it's not even necessary.
At Bicara Supply Chain, we are committed to driving global perspective to embrace technological adaptation in improving process efficiencies. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share Bicara Supply Chain. And stay tuned for the latest updates. To learn more, visit our website www.bicarasupplychain.com. Thank you for listening to us. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode.